are you there?
I am, Sherry.
Hi, Sarah. Welcome back.
I'm very excited to be back. It's always such a great show, and we get such and awesome questions.
Oh, fantastic. We're really excited. I mean, these episodes that we've done together have been some of the most helpful, educational shows that we've ever done. And if we think about it, what do we do more than ride in the car?
Not much, it seems.
As
Part of our day in the car.
we spend so much of our day, and it's when we think about safety and just making the right choices, anything from choosing a car seat to just properly installing it or using it properly on the size of your child or age of your child could make all the difference. Isn't that true?
It can. It can. We can buy the best car seat, but if we don't use it correctly, meaning if we don't install it into the vehicle and we don't secure our child properly in it,
Yes.
it doesn't really matter what we bought for a car seat.
That is the truth. That is the truth, and it's just such an important purchase that everyone needs to make, obviously. And so tonight we're going to go over some of the things to look for.
Awesome.
Yeah, thank you. Can you tell everybody just a little bit of your background for anybody who's never watched the show before, is not really familiar?
Sure. I have been with Britax for 10 years now. I am a certified child passenger safety technician and instructor. I've been a technician since 2002 and an instructor since 2004. My background is mechanical design. I've worked in the quality department, customer service at Britax, but I got to tell you, my favorite position, which I've been doing full-time now for about almost 5 years, about pushing 4 3/4, is being their child passenger safety advocate. So I get to do great events like this. Many people across the country like yourself teach certification classes, talk to technicians, teach technicians. It's great.
Yeah. Isn't it the best thing working with the moms and dads directly?
It is, and it's very rewarding. Sometimes you get frustrated when you're outside in 100 degrees.
I can imagine.
And when you help that caregiver who your first thought when you look in that car is, really, they need help. And, so that the hour you spend in the heat is well worth it, knowing
Absolutely.
that you helped
Absolutely.
the child.
Absolutely. If you could just help one child in a car accident, it's worth every minute.
Yes.
Yep. So let's talk a little bit about, just car seats in general. I mean, what are some of the statistics? Why should we be using car seats to begin with?
Well, Siri, that's a good question. And child safety seats or car seats reduce the risk of fatal injury to infants by 71%. So when we say that, it's proper, a car seat that properly fits the child as well as a car seat that's properly used. But still, that number is huge, 71%, and 54% for toddlers. And unfortunately, as the child grows older, they become less likely to be properly secured. That newborn, that infant, parents really don't have anything else to do with them, right?
Yeah.
Them in a car seat.
Yeah.
When they start walking and talking and moving around, that's when, for some reason, they become less likely to be properly restrained.
Yeah. Wow. So what are the best ways to what are the best car seats? What are the best car seats? What are we looking for when we're actually purchasing a car seat? What are the things we should be looking for?
Well, the first and foremost thing to keep in mind is that every car seat on the market does have to meet the Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 213. But we should also keep in mind that is kind of like the baseline of safety. Like we talk about law.
Exactly.
The legal minimum. It's not always reflective of best practice.
Yes.
So the best car seat is the one that fits in your vehicle, so you get a proper, good fit.
Yeah.
Fits your child, so it's rated for the appropriate weight range and height range, direction, so whether your child needs to be rear-facing or forward-facing. And, of course, it's easy for you as a caregiver to use. Stop and think about all those gadgets that we buy because they look really cool, We get them home, even electronics though sometimes. You get it home and you just can't figure out how to use it. You end up putting it in the closet and you don't use it.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want that to happen with a car seat.
No.
Because we need that 71% to increase. We want more children protected.
Yeah.
So it needs to be easy to use so that the caregiver or the parent uses it properly each and every time.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. That's, it is the most important thing. And, so many times I'll see parents come in with their newborns, and this is why I know these shows are so important. They'll come in, for a breastfeeding consultation. Obviously, they care about the well being of their child, and then I'll look at their car seat, and the baby is just not strapped in. Just not used right, so whether they've gotten the right car seat and didn't know how to use it, or they've gotten the wrong type of car seat for the size of that child. Any of those things, really, it's so important that they're using it properly.
Yes, and unfortunately, as children grow out of them, they tend to, either becomes complacentness, I'm just driving down the street around the corner.
Yeah.
I find that most accidents happen within 5 miles of where we live.
Absolutely. Absolutely. You can't afford to take one chance, not even for a minute, with your child in the car.
Absolutely not.
No, absolutely. Even when we pull into the driveway, it's like, can we unbuckle them? Like the car's not stopped yet.
Yes.
So
just came to visit last week for vacation, and it was, I have to ride in the car seat. The 5-year-old, how much longer, Nona? And I'm like, just sit down and buckle up. It's going to be a while.
My daughter's 10, and she wants to kill me.
I bet.
She's like, stop at the end of the street so no one can see me. I'm like, hey, too bad,
Yep.
So what are the different ways that car seats, that the restraints prevent injury?
Well, there's 5 primary ways that restraints prevent injury. And think of a restraint as a seatbelt or a car seat for children. Seatbelt for us as adults. Keeping in mind that we are our role model for our children, so we need to remember to always buckle up. But a seatbelt or a car seat, the first and most important thing that it does is keep our physical body inside the occupant compartment of the vehicle.
Yeah.
Vehicles today have so many safety features built into them, crumple zones to absorb energy. You can see some pretty horrific crashes. Typically, what we call the occupant compartment of the car has minimal damage.
Yes.
And so our body needs to stay in that compartment to protect us.
Yes.
Seatbelt or car seat. The car seats have internal harnesses. Those components contact the strongest parts of our body, which is our skeletal system.
Yeah.
Right? So the harness in a car seat will touch the collarbone of the child, the hip bones of the child, which is much stronger than our fleshy tissue in our abdomen.
Yes.
Harness webbing is about 1.5 inches wide. It actually spreads forces over a larger area of the body. If you could poke yourself with one finger in the arm and then apply the same amount of pressure but use your whole hand on your arm, the poking would actually hurt more because the same amount of force is concentrated to a much smaller area.
Yes, that makes sense.
When you think about that from an injury perspective, you are much more likely to get a more severe injury in a more concentrated area. So harnesses help to spread that area out, that force out over a wider area.
Yeah.
Car seats, seatbelts actually help our body to stay in position and slow down as the car slows down. There's several different types of impacts in a crash, and there's, we talk about our internal organs, our body hitting interior of the car if we don't have a seatbelt on, or if we're not in a car seat. And our body actually stops when we make contact with that. Well, a seatbelt or a car seat helps our body to just kind of sit as still as possible, and you ride down the crash with the car, and those special built-in features of the car will actually absorb energy and deflect it away from the body.
Mm.
Keep in mind that energy, you can't just make it go away. Energy ends when it destroys something. And we don't want it to destroy our body.
No, absolutely. So the more impact that the seat can take, the less impact your body will wind up taking.
Yes, and features of the car seat that can dissipate energy away from us. And then finally, the fifth thing being, it protects our head and our spinal cord. And for children, well, for all of us, those are very crucial components of us having a healthy lifestyle.
Yeah.
And for children, their skeletal system doesn't calcify for such a long period of time, fully calcify and become very strong.
Yeah.
So we need to protect those things, as well as those are two components of our human body that cannot be fixed by a medical team quite so easily.
And we talked quite a bit about that on our last episode together for rear facing.
We did.
Yeah. You know, and we still get a lot of questions, and even when I was posting on Facebook about this episode and had a picture of an older child sitting rear facing in the car, we still had people commenting, "Oh, the child looks too big," or "The child's going to get a DVT," or all kinds of comments. And I thought, and I sent them right back to the episode. I said, "Go watch the episode. It's super important that people are aware how important it is to keep your child rear facing for as long as possible, for as long as the car seat allows you to."
Yes, it is. It's very important. And, you know, frontal crashes are the most common type of motor vehicle crash. And if we as adults, our most common injury is whiplash. When we turn a child forward facing and they see those same forces, their skeletal system is nowhere near ready to absorb that energy.
Yep.
So the longer that we can keep them rear facing, because the car seat rear facing and that frontal impact will actually cradle the head, neck, and spine during that crash event, again, protecting the most crucial parts of our body.
And as you're talking about, frontal impact crashes, this is the whole point of tonight's show, is that car impacts can occur at any point on the car. So it's pretty much 360 degrees of vulnerability and places to get hit.
Very true. And while I talk about frontal impact being the most common, of course we have rollovers, we have side impact, we get hit from the rear. And to your point, we can get hit 360 degrees around our vehicle, because depending on what we're doing, meaning, what direction we're driving, are we making a turn? Is someone running a red light? Are they coming at us from our right or left? It makes us vulnerable 360 degrees around our vehicle.
Yeah. And so Britax has brand new car seats and a new campaign called Safety You Can See.
We do, Sherry. We 2 years ago we launched a very different lineup of convertibles for Britax, a very big change in many years. And just last month we started shipping a refresh to this car seat. And the Safety You Can See actually points out some of the safety features that have been in our convertibles for the last years. But we've also added some really great new features. And these new features, as well as the older features that is the safety mechanisms that parents can see, kind of like that extra insurance policy.
Yeah.
Remembering that the law is the legal minimum requirement. The Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standard 213 is kind of like that baseline. But when we go and buy a vehicle, we might buy up and buy side curtain airbags that isn't a standard in that vehicle.
Yes.
It's a safety feature.
Yes.
Or even ease of use features like electric seats. So there's things that we buy for us as adults. I really encourage parents to stop and think about buying those what I refer to as extra insurance policies for our children.
Absolutely, absolutely. We have a quick video I'd love to show right now of the safety you can see, and tells a little bit about it. Let's go to the video and we'll come right back.
Awesome.
Okay.
How do you know your child's car seat not only meets the government standards for safety, but exceeds them? At Britax, we want to help you see some of the most advanced safety features for car seats.
We study the science behind car crashes. Because accidents can come from any angle, they're 360 degrees of unpredictable. At Britax, we reverse that principle, turning it into 360 degrees of protection. Then we design our seats so our safety features are not hidden, but in plain sight, so you know what to look for. We call it safety you can see. Like hugs with safe cell technology, integrated steel bars, energy absorbing Versatether, based with safe cell technology, and multiple layers of side impact protection. Life is full of unknowns, but safety shouldn't be one of them. With Britax, it's everywhere you look, all 360 degrees. To learn more, visit safetyyoucansee.com.
Oh, where's Sarah? There she is. Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Sherry.
That was great. You know, it really gives you an idea of all that protection surrounding the child.
Yes. And Britex really strives hard to think that the parent doesn't have to.
Yeah.
The car seats have to meet a standard that has a frontal impact,
Yes.
but in certain criteria. We try to take everything that we do to the next step.
Yes.
How can we take 5% more of energy away from the child, or 10% more, or 2% more by doing this or doing that? Because every little bit of energy that we can deflect away from the child
Yes.
is less injury to that child.
That's what I love so much about this company. You know, it's like that is always the focus. It's always the focus is how safe can we make these seats, and just the way that you upgrade them and the way that they add features, and now the features that you can actually see, so you know exactly what features are there and what they're doing.
And that's a really good point, Sherry, because so many times when you develop products and you talk about things that it can do or it will do, moms want to see it.
Absolutely.
They want to see, touch, feel the things that they're trusting their child's life in.
Yeah.
So we have really taken great effort to try to incorporate features that will help protect their child even above and beyond what the federal standard says we have to do.
Yes.
But that they can touch and feel and see and say, okay, help them understand what that feature does.
Yes. Yes. So let's go over some of there are basically 5 features that you can see.
Yes.
The first one being hugs with safe cell technology.
Yep.
Okay, let's pull up a picture of that, Taylor. The hugs right here. So Sarah, explain to us what this is.
So the HUGS, H-U-G-S, stands for the Harness Ultra Guard System. And we've had HUGS pads on our car seats for several years now, since about 2002. The safe cell technology to it is we've actually put a little bit more thickness to it. It has a honeycomb design built into the thickness. HUGS have always been intended to help reduce the forward movement of the child's body when they're forward facing in that frontal crash. Now, the HUGS with safe cell, with the thickness and the honeycomb, while it's doing that, will also compress and deflect and absorb some of that energy, and so it doesn't get transferred into the body at the same time that it's holding the body back from that forward excursion.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's go back to the picture here with us. Yeah, and that, I mean, you can really see the difference in those straps there.
Yes, they're significantly different than our previous ones. And I do want to mention one thing. So if anybody, and especially to the winners, if the winners are, you might be a lucky winner who is listening today. The hugs, these hugs do require a special or an operation of loosening the harness different than our previous seats. So you used to lift the adjuster and put your hands behind the harness strap to pull it
Yes.
forward.
Yes.
These hugs are actually attached through the harness slot to the seat belt. So when you lift the adjuster,
Yes.
pull on the chest clip, and the webbing will pull freely. And if you kind of look at the back of the hugs, you'll see this little much smaller piece of webbing that's holding the hugs, and it'll then kind of make sense. But there's also some very descriptive information, but I do want to point that out.
Awesome. Awesome. The next feature is the base itself.
Yes, base. So the Hug's
Cell.
base cell technology is new with this G3 cell technology. Is actually a technology we released with our new convertible line a couple of years ago, and that's the lighter gray honeycomb pieces that you can see here on the screen. What happens with this technology, much like I talked about the compression in the Safe Cell Hugs, in the event of a crash, as the seat will rotate and pivot forward, as it rotates back into its installed position, the car seat's going to be loaded with the weight of the child as well as some crash forces vertically. As that car seat is loaded, these honeycomb pieces will actually compress. It drops the center of gravity, and it actually happens maybe a little bit before it really starts to rotate too far back into position because it drops the center of gravity and reduces how much the child will actually rotate forward. So we have some great excursion prevention methods, but this is just another method to keep that child from moving forward.
Gotcha.
Moving forward is so important because so many of us are driving small vehicles today because of the current economy.
Yes.
And we don't want that child to be making contact with the back of that vehicle seat in front of them.
Gotcha. Yeah, that can be a problem sometimes, especially when they're rear-facing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That brings up a question that someone asked in one of the questions that was submitted. Let me ask you about that. The question came in from LaTanya in South Carolina, and she was asking, where in the back seat is it best to put the car seat? In the middle or behind the other front seats? Either front seat.
Well, the best place to put the car seat, yes, is in the back seat. So we got that part right, or LaTanya does. Whether it's in the center or an outboard position is really going to depend on a couple of different things. How many other people ride in the vehicle?
Mm-hmm.
When you start putting the car seat, say, in the center position,
yeah.
If you're in a very compact vehicle, sometimes the car seat will sit on top of the buckles for the outboard seating position. It can narrow it. Or do you have another car seat in the back seat? More than one, two, or and where, most importantly, where do you get the best fit? The center seating position is perceived to be the safest because it's furthest from side impact on either side. But the center of our vehicle seats sometimes can be very challenging. They can be contoured, meaning, like that bump in the back seat. They're very narrow. So we don't always get a good fit. Right. So it's really wherever you get the best fit.
I think that really is the point. It's, obviously there is Joe's throwing me off with his comments. Joe's comment. I happened to look down, and I thought my voice was a little quiet in the chat room, and he went, "Sherry, quiet, haha." You don't think I see what you're doing? I see everything you're doing. Anyway, yeah, the point is that it's not only where's the best spot for the seat, but where does it fit the best.
Yes.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and that makes sense because you could be in a better position, but the seat's not fitting well, and then you're not going to get a good you're not going to get good protection that way, or a good installation.
Correct.
More important to have it installed properly.
Yes.
Third feature on the new Britex car seats is the side impact protection that you can see.
Well, and side impact protection is part of our Safety You Can See campaign, but really this particular one is not new to the new G3 series. So side impact protection, we offer a level of side impact protection in all of our car seats, being that EPS lining, sidewalls. So, and that would be in the picture that you're seeing on the screen, kind of on the lower left. Both sidewalls of the car seat have EPS or EPP, which is expanded polystyrene or propylene. Kind of looks a lot like our cooler material, but it is an energy-absorbing material. And that is actually, a much softer surface for the child's body to come in contact while they're moving back and forth about in that car seat during a crash. And also that true side impact that we saw, that U-shaped head restraint is an EPP component that narrows the amount of space the child's head can move left and right in that side impact.
Yes.
Very important to keep the head, neck, and spine in vertical alignment during that side impact crash. If we can keep them in vertical alignment or as close as possible, it helps to reduce injury.
Now, when you're talking about the head cushion there on both sides, where should that be positioned on the child's neck and head?
Really, because the harness system moves with that component,
it should just go together.
Yeah, when you adjust it, it goes together.
Perfect.
So really what you're adjusting is the harness height to the child's shoulders.
Yes.
Rear facing, you want it to be at or slightly below. Forward facing, you want it to be at or slightly above. And the head restraint, that U-shaped piece, will actually fall very appropriately to the above the child's
Perfect.
the child's head.
Perfect. Let's go to a picture here. Now tell us what we're seeing in this picture here.
Okay, and this is the EPP, expanded polypropylene, that I was talking about as a very vital component about side impact and the deep sidewalls of the car seat, the depth of the car seat front to back.
Yes.
So those two components are very vital in a lateral impact. The deep sidewalls help to contain the child's body within that car seat, again, reducing the amount of movement.
Yeah, and you can really see it here in this picture when you strip down everything down to the core.
Very good picture there.
And then let's go over to here. This also for side impact. You have the on the Advocates.
Yes, on the Advocate for a convertible. Also, we offer a version of the Frontier harness booster that has side impact cushion technology. It's another layer of protection that, in that side impact crash, will defer or deflect energy away from the child. In our internal testing and the development of these products, we were able to develop a test methodology that we could measure how much force a child or a body in this car seat would see without the side impact cushion. And then we did the same testing with the side impact cushion, and we can actually deflect about 45% of that energy. So that child would see 45% less.
Wow.
With impact cushion technology.
Yeah, and it also protects another child that's sitting in the back seat.
Great point. Another, let's call them a belted occupant. Whether it's a child or an adult that is in a seatbelt system.
Yes.
And in a lateral impact, even though you're in a seatbelt, your body's going to move back and forth, left and right. And that body, when it comes in contact with that side impact cushion, is going to incur less injury from that cushion than a hard car seat cell.
Yep.
And I think
Absolutely.
that's what one of the lucky winners are going to win tonight,
They
right?
are going to win one. Their choice of whatever fabric they want.
Awesome.
Yes, they get to pick whatever fabric. I hope you guys did your research so that if I call you, you know what to, you know which one you're going to pick. Let's see if they can show us in the chat room which fabric options they would choose from.
I hope it's cow. I love it.
I love it. They're so cute.
And you can't tell that from my
The zebra. They love the zebra and the cow.
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic. All right, and then the fourth one is the Versatether.
Yes. So we've had the Versatether, or the 2-point tether, attached to the back of our system for many years now. One of the things that we just recently did, because studies are show a wide number of people who do not attach their tether forward facing, which is its primary intention. Britax does offer rear facing, but every car seat offers forward facing tethering. And we put this badge here on it, the little white label that you can see, and it says energy absorbing Versatether, kind of our icon for it. Really just trying to draw attention to this strap that's hanging off the back of the car seat, and hopefully intriguing parents to see it and go, what is this?
What is this strap here that I never knew what to do with, huh?
Exactly. So we can increase that number, or I should say decrease that number that tends to be around 50% or so of parents that...
Wow. Is it that high that many people don't use it?
Yes.
Wow.
So we're trying to take every effort, even if it's something simple as this white badge,
Yeah.
black tether.
Yeah. Wow. I didn't realize it was that many people. Well, you know what? It makes sense. I know so many people are not using their car seats properly. It's just one more way to not do it.
Yeah, it's that 3 out of every 4 car seats are incorrect.
It's amazing. That's why they need to watch our shows together, Sarah.
Sherry, we'll have to think of something good for the next
one. We'll have a good one. We'll have a good one. Let's go to the last one on the list, and that's the steel bars. And these are ones you can actually see.
Yes, they are steel bars that you can actually see. So we're not just telling you that they're inside. You can see them on each side of the car seat. They run from the bottom of the seat shell. So it's molded into the plastic all the way up there by the white tether badge.
Mm-hmm.
And you can see it goes all the way down to the bottom.
Yes.
What steel bars allowed us to do, and people think steel is heavy, and it is, but when you can use a balance of steel bars and you can lighten plastic in other areas, the product becomes a little bit lighter, and we were able to use the strength of the steel bars where we needed them to help reduce the flexion, or kind of if you think about that seating area, or the car seat shell is kind of like a C that tries to close up during a crash event. So trying to control that. You definitely don't want to eliminate flexing of things, because then it becomes too rigid.
Yes.
But steel bars give us a strong reinforcement that you can lighten up in other areas.
Yes. Yeah, and it's great that you can actually see them, because, people sometimes think that all car seats are just made the same, and that is just not the case.
It really isn't. We all, and I'll apologize, but so many times I will go back to referencing the car that we drive or the car that we buy, because, even if we're the first-time expectant parent, we've bought a vehicle, whether it was new or used, and regardless of whether it was new or used, we went to make that purchase with features in mind. And if every car were the same, we would all be driving the yellow shoebox.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
But they're not, so we don't. And car seats are much the same.
Yeah.
Very important purchase that I would encourage caregivers to put a lot of thought into, and some put more thought into.
Yeah. And sometimes what comes up, and it does come up frequently, is the cost, and the Britex seats do tend to be a little bit more expensive than some of the other seats on the market, but you're paying for the safety, you're paying for the features, you're paying for the quality of the car seat. And we were talking about it before, and Joe and I were saying, it's so important, of all the purchases that you make, the car seat should be the place where you would put your money into. If you're going to save on another product, then this would be the place where it would be more important to be spending the money.
I completely agree, Sherry.
Mm-hmm.
We, just stop and think. Many caregivers today are into baby wearing for various reasons.
Yes.
And, one of the things that I will ask parents is, are they going to wear their baby, carry their baby in one of the on-body carriers? Because if you're going to make that decision,
yes,
then stop and think about whether you really need that rear-facing only car seat, that bucket carrier.
The infant one that you would
Yes.
only use for the first 20 to 30 pounds.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
If you're gonna wear your baby, you
yes.
bypass that infant carrier.
Yes.
And just buy a convertible, because you can bring a baby home from the hospital in a convertible.
Yep.
If you take the money that you would invest in a rear-facing only seat and put it then with the money that you would have to invest for the convertible seat,
mm-hmm.
you're not at the cost of a Britex.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to be very close.
Yes.
That you will very easily make up the difference.
Absolutely. There's so many ways to be healthier, safer, all of those things, and still, not spend the money in one direction or another. You can still save money. Like Sarah was just saying, if you're going to spend money on a cheaper infant car seat that will last you for a year and then go into a convertible, that same cost of 2 car seats would equal the cost of one really good convertible, like one of the Britex that we're talking about tonight. And that you're going to be able to use it till the child is 70 pounds, right?
Yeah.
And so you can, and like Sarah said, they can start off really small, right home from the hospital in a convertible. And we've talked about this on other shows where, having your child sit in an infant car seat is not the best place for them all day long. We want you to wear your babies. We want the babies upright. Wearing your baby would be a great thing. Take the baby out of the car, put the baby into an infant carrier, and walk around with the baby. You don't need to carry him around in a bucket.
And the other important thing there, Sherry, is to remember that babies, regardless of their age, need stimulation.
Yes.
And sometimes we get complacent with leaving them in that bucket.
That's right.
We go shopping. We take them out to change their diaper, feed them, and they spend the entire day in there.
Exactly. We did a great show not too long ago with one of our viewers. She's an occupational therapist, and we did a show on tummy time. And I was just interested it was informative for me too to know that, a lot of babies don't necessarily need to be on their bellies to do tummy time. They can actually be in a carrier, and they're still strengthening their neck and back and head muscles the same way as doing tummy time. So wearing your baby upright is a great thing for your baby, and then a great thing for your wallet to be able to save enough money to get a really good car seat, which ultimately is good for your baby.
That is very true.
Mm-hmm. Fantastic. Let's answer a couple more questions. We have another minute here to do that. Let's see. The question came in from Jessica. Is Jessica from Ohio? Is Jessica in the chat room with us tonight? Jessica
Yes.
Perro? Oh, hi, Jess. This is your question. Thank you. She says her daughter is 3 years old and still in a rear-facing seat. Will be there for as long as possible. It went to the car seat safety training last week, and the video we watched mentioned that a child should remain rear-facing until a maximum weight height requirements for their seat are met, or until 4 years old. She had never heard of 4 years old as a limit before. Is this correct information?
The 4 years old is kind of a guideline. if your child, regardless of age, now I've seen 5-year-old children still rear facing.
Yes.
It's kind of, if you just give weight and height to a guideline, then you could have those children that are exceptionally tall,
Yes.
or a larger stature in general, but be younger, and therefore the parent would think that they could graduate them or really demote them.
Yeah.
Next mode of transportation, which might be going from rear facing to forward facing.
Right.
So I'm going to say that it's unfortunate sometimes that ages are associated with these guidelines.
Right.
The only time that I would be very careful about age is if the particular car seat you are using has a particular age associated with it.
Okay.
But about the only time that happens is when they are talking about a minimum of going forward facing
Yes.
and going into booster seats. We'll find many booster seats today that say that actually have an age of 4 years associated with being able, plus the weight,
Yes.
able to sit in them. So if your child is older than 4 years old but still fits the weight capacity and the height capacity of the car seat, and you want to leave them rear facing, leave them.
Yeah. I mean, the longer they sit rear facing, the safer they are. Period.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. And if they still fit and they still fit within the height and weight requirements or parameters, then you're better off to keep them that way.
Correct.
Mhm. Let's take a look at the new seats. They're beautiful. We got a picture here of the new car seats. So what are we?
Well, this is our new lineup here of convertibles, and for the most part, we did keep the same names. So we have the Roundabout 55, which all of these convertibles start at 5 pounds and go to 40 pounds rear facing, which will accommodate like an 88 percentile 3-year-old, I believe.
Yes.
Marathon 70 is the first. So I'm sorry, the Roundabout 55 has harness slot and only goes to 55 pounds. Then the next 4 convertibles actually have the no rethread harness, so you just squeeze at the top. Very easy to adjust the harness height. So if it's easy to adjust it, it should never be incorrect. They all go to 70 pounds forward facing. When you step up to the Boulevard 70 G3, that's when you get that true side impact protection in the head restraint. Now notice that the next one is Pavilion 70 G3. We did get rid of the acronyms for features in our product naming. For instance, the Pavilion is the same as what we used to call the Boulevard 70 CS for click and safe. So the Pavilion 70 G3 is what you would know as the Boulevard 70 with click and safe.
Gotcha. It looked new. I didn't know the
Yep.
difference. There you go.
It just kind of cleans everything up. The
Yes.
name now is very specific to kind of the features. The Pavilion now will always have true side impact. It'll always have click and safe. The Advocate has always been a seat that has true side impact, click and safe, and side impact cushion technology.
And then the last one here, the Advocate.
Yep, that's the one that always has click and safe,
Yep.
true side impact, being that U-shaped head restraint, and the side impact cushion technology. So those cushions on the outside of the car seat for side impact.
So we will see you again, and we love you, and go kiss your babies and hug your babies, and I will see you all on Facebook, and have a wonderful evening. Thanks for joining us again. Mwah.